Welcome to today's event where we have the pleasure to present Columbus. Today's event is a part of our deep dive series where we are trying to give investors a better look into what is behind the investment case, what is behind the drivers in the company. And we're looking into the ERP and dynamics, which is a big part of Columbus's business and has shown quite good momentum lately. So very interesting area to dive into and try and understand the drivers behind that. I will also say we will not discuss short-term results. There will be plenty of room to discuss that when you report your Q4 numbers shortly. So that is not the focus for today, and we will not come in on this event. So help us today. We are joined by CEO Søren Krogh and COO Ole Fritze to help us through and answer questions. So a strong lineup. As always, you are encouraged to ask questions in the box down below. Do it during the presentation, but I will fit it in primarily in the end. And if you want to ask it in Danish, I will try and translate to the best of my ability. But for now, I will hand the call over to you, Søren.
Thank you very much, Michael, and good afternoon to all of you. I'm very glad that you've joined. As Michael was saying, this is the first time we have this type of a presentation where we get a chance to unfold our business model a little bit more and explain in turn what each business line does. And as Michael just said, we've started sort of in order of magnitude. So we're starting with the biggest business line, which is the one that's called Microsoft Dynamics, that we will be looking into today. Please go to the next one. Just a short disclaimer. As Michael was saying, we are going to report our Q3 results next week, and hence we're not going to comment on Q3 results today or forward-looking statement. Yeah, please take a second to look through the disclaimer there. So before I hand over to Ole, let me just set the context of the overall business model, what we do, and then we will dive into the area of dynamics. But if you start there at the top left corner, typically we start our engagement with clarification talks with our customers. They speak business language, and we should speak both business language and technology language. So they usually express themselves in business needs, challenges, desired business outcomes. And we need to translate that into, and then we move on to the second bullet there, which is sort of the partner bullet, into a technology and industry context. So we need to basically translate the business requirements into a functional and technology requirements. That's usually based on some of our software alliances. Today we're going to look in particularly at a piece of Microsoft, but it could also be Info and others. And based on that, we design a solution which we then reach agreement on with the customer, and then comes the fourth one there, which is the bulk of the work, and that is to implement those solutions and make it work, derive a value from it, monitor it through its lifetime, decide when it's time to improve further on it. That's the business of Columbus in the majority of it. We'll touch on a few other bits and pieces today, but that is the majority of what we do. Moving to the right side there, 1,600 employees, roughly $1.6 billion. Sorry, that would be nice. 1.6 billion Danish kroner of revenue, and primary markets are in Scandinavia and in the UK. We also have secondary markets in the US and Germany. And then we have delivery centers in India, in the Czech Republic, in Poland, and in Chile. The primary way we manage our business, so our profit and loss structure, is through our business lines, and then that's supported by the geographies we are present in. But the main way we manage our business is through these global business lines. You can see 5 of them here: Dynamics, Info M3, which is also an ERP business line, but based on a different software platform. Digital Commerce, which has a number of software alliances. Data and AI also works a lot with Microsoft, and Customer Experience. Those are the 5 business lines we operate in. And today we're going to have a look at the Microsoft Dynamics business line, our biggest business line. It comprises both the Dynamics F&O, who are into that sort of lingo, and the Business Central. There are two different Microsoft ERP platforms. They're both in here. And also our security efforts are embedded in this business line. All right, so over to you, Ole.
Thank you very much, Søren. So ERP provides the digital core for all reinvention and innovation. Some of you that have attended earlier presentations done by Søren would have seen that this hype cycle is not new. The headline is because point is digital core is the new black. ERP has been important all along, but looking to this hype cycle, all the way from getting to market, triggering the innovation, throughout the trough of disillusionment until the plateau of productivity. Point is, we have been in the cloud with Microsoft solutions for ERP, F&O since November 2016. It's very, very mature. It runs well. And it also, by the way, incorporates the big data, the composable architecture by the cloud platform itself, and even our friends in data and AI, you will hear more about on another call. You can see that Columbus' strength is our point here, is the mass adoption of enterprise technology. I will also come back and tell you a little bit about why AI, generative AI, is truly important for the ERP platform. But looking to the right side of this slide, you will see that the technology is being implemented currently for 26 as suggested by Gartner is AI, generative AI, low-code, no-code platform, what is normally referred to as robotics and process automation, and then some 5G and distributed cloud. All of these are a large part of what we do when we engage with our customers. That is the key point here. Digital core is the new black. We are the largest Microsoft ERP partner in Northern Europe, and we do take market share from our competitors. If you look to the lowest part of this slide, you would see that being a partner with Microsoft, you can be that on six different areas to which you can engage with Microsoft. You can earn a designation in each one of these areas because you are deemed and qualified by Microsoft to be good at what you do. We have 6 areas here, from business solutions through security until infrastructure, data and AI, digital and app innovation and modern work. All of that encompasses you. We are a full partner of Microsoft. We are only very few that can have this tag you see to the left, the Microsoft solution partner for Microsoft Cloud. We are proud of being that. Due to our abilities, we have been a member of Inner Circle for 20 plus years. Inner Circle is top 70 partners in the world, more than 10,000 partners of Microsoft. They get access to this Inner Circle, and mainly to understand way before it happens in the marketplace, what does engineering bring to market from a Microsoft perspective. It's a huge part of us being able to continue being deep technical experts. We have 660 Dynamics 365 ERP consultants certified globally, mostly on F&O, but also on BC. And unique enough is that, quite unique to us, I would have said, we have access to Fast Track for all customers. Fast Track is a Microsoft program that you can earn the rights to ensure that Microsoft can engage by best practices, tool resources, and experts' advice. So they are never just bound to us. We can make sure you get full access to Microsoft engineering. Normally that comes across very good in any form of engagement, and it does win us some recognition, of which we have been the Microsoft Business Application Award winner for 9 years. Speaking about Microsoft, our technology partner is doing well. They have been growing the market. They have been growing 2 times the market for the last quite many years, and they outperform the ERP software market in general. So growth is there. If we look to the right side and look to the largest partner, or you can say analyst in the IT marketplace speaking about software platforms. Gartner Group, they normally issue a market quadrant on a regular basis, typically once a year, and you would see that circle in is Microsoft in the magic quadrant for cloud ERP companies. For enterprises, that actually means very large customers, and it is for product-centric enterprises, meaning which has a very good fit to what we do, companies that produce stuff in some form. That's how we typically recognize ourselves. So the product that we do have, that we are partnering with, is doing well. It's outperforming the market, and it is top ranked by Gartner. Microsoft has co-invested in OpenAI. They took all of this and pulled it back into what is currently known as Copilot, which applies well for all our digital cores. So today, Microsoft actually do not speak about ERP as such, but actually ERP AI, where they're repurposing ERP into future business. And that's why ERP is the new black. We do solve complex industry problems with technology. Throughout our 4 industries, we do solve supply chain disruption issues. We make sure that we can automate wherever we need to automate. We answer to the digital challenge requirements. We ensure that customers are sustainable and compliant in the way they operate, and we ensure that it happens in a secure manner. So having an issue where you have delay in your supply chain, either in your own setup, somewhere along your landscape of large places where you do produce, or partner-driven production, as an example, you can solve that by looking into how you are performing, and you can either create new production setup elsewhere, or you can in general act upon whatever disruptions you might see. So that is the real issues that we are solving in today's marketplace. We've built a robust digital core to drive business transformation and agility, based on the real-time problems that we're doing. Normally, you would expect us to be able to implement and doing transformation services, making sure that an ERP is not only implemented, but is getting adapted and adopted by the organization. That is still the main deliverable from Columbus Dynamics. We do implement generative AI throughout the entire business, making sure that you make it easy for people to do a good job, either in finance, doing bank reconciliations, data summarizations, provides language interfaces directly to users, and you can even act with the ERP from outside the application itself. We automate quite a lot with the tooling called Power Platform, which by itself, by the way, is the leader in the magic quadrant by Gartner Group in the area of robotics and process automation. So it's a very good match to ensure that we, at one hand, you do not do the on-prem issue that normally you did too much of an open heart surgery to your solution, which ended up building a lot of technical debt. But with an RPA tool, you can extend and expand without creating issues in staying current with the platform itself. It's a brilliant setup. We do manage our services for our customers, or our customer services, apologize for that, giving green lights while making sure that we can stay current and give new opportunities for innovation and enhanced performance throughout their lifetime. We do offer industry advisory service, and all of that together creates the platform for continuous innovation and improvement. We do ensure a secure engagement with special focus on governance, risk, and compliance. We do have sustainability in our mindset and in our deliverables. We are a safe pair of hands. We do demonstrate solid financial performance with increasing revenue while expanding profit margin. Looking to the left side here, on top of these 3 stacks, you would see some revenue measured in million kroner. So in 2022, which was the first year where I started running Dynamics, we had a We had a revenue of 743 million Danish kroner. And then it grew to 823. And first half 2024, we are currently at 474 million Danish kroner. That revenue is can be categorized into three buckets: some license, some traditional consultancy services, and something we offer with our managed services and some of our more forward-leaning services on recurring contracts. That constitutes total services. As you can see, our consultancy services is the major part of our revenue. We have around 11-12% on recurring contracts, while a slowly shrinking license revenue. And license revenue is the royalty and the kickback we get from Microsoft when ensuring that our customers engage with the tooling that we provide through Microsoft. But it is obvious that's a nice piece of revenue, but not the core of what we do. But it is needed to ensure that we can solve our customers' problem. To the right side, you will see our total services and how that's growing with a 2-digit growth for quite a period. And I do believe that we have a strong growth currently in Dynamics. Looking then to the number one metric for any consultancy, we will be looking to efficiency. And you remember, efficiency is the amount of time that we bill our customers versus the available time. So we started in 2022 with billing 61% of our time towards our customers, growing to 67 and now 68. That is a very decent number compared to industry. And what does it all make up to in the bottom line? And we call that contribution margin. We have currently, HQ and global functions, which is what supports the business and running. That would be internal IT or HR or finance. If you deduct that, that's what we have done with our contribution margin. That's just the business line itself. So it means we end up in H1 2024 with 29% contribution margin. If we try to make that normalized a little bit, or not normalized, but put into a perspective of a more well-known construct of EBITDA, and say, let's take all of that global cost I mentioned before, the HQ and the supporting function, this equals an EBITDA margin currently of 18%. We do invest in the future. We do that by accelerating our investments into evolved capabilities to ensure that we future-proof our business. We do have some 3 revenue streams here that consist of either transformation projects, the traditional moving from ERP on-prem systems to the cloud. We have some recurring contracts, and we have what we call evolved projects, which is more than just application management, but it is a different way of running our business. So the traditional way, looking to the left side with month on the x-axis and effort, you could say, on the y-axis, you would see that these kind of projects normally take some time. And it's a huge investment for the first month, and then it, to some extent, fizzles off. While living in the cloud, and promise of the cloud is that keeping constantly current, some call it evergreen a couple of years ago, enables you to continuously have innovation and business value. And that spins off a lot of smaller, but still a lot of projects. So our promise to the market and what we're striving for is that Evolve will dominate our revenue mix in the future. And that's what you see to the right side, from now to near term to future. Gartner said that the whole cloud conversion would have been done in 2025. The newest forecast is around 2028. Point with all this is that no matter what happens, we do have a good life. We can manage both. Our evolved business it's important to stress that it's not only based on recurring contracts, but it does also include both time banks and traditional consultancy T&M. So we do believe that our setup is future proven. Our customers in Dynamics are large and in general doing well. We have a concept called Ideal Customer Profile, ICP. That is multinational companies working with physical goods. And with those physical goods have been distributed into 4 boxes in manufacturing, retail and distribution, food and bev, and life science. And we have tried here to split the revenue into strategic industry verticals. And it is important to say that in Dynamics, more than 80% of our revenue constitutes directly from these 4 industries. Key takeaway here is not to pinpoint any of these customers in specific, but rather telling you that we do believe that we have a solid business. The customer list of customers constantly being engaged with Columbus is counting many hundreds. But let's double click on a few of those and hear what they do have to say. Enterprises do select a provider with a proven track record of technology, industry, and change management expertise. That's our position. It's a position we share with many customers. In this perspective, it's Bang & Olufsen, and I apologize for having a cover from a Danish newspaper from Børsen. I will try to interpret what's being said here. Bang & Olufsen has been undergoing business transformation from a manufacturing company to a retail organization for a while. The existing IT landscape is fragmented, very old, and tailored to support a manufacturing business, not a retailer wanting to give the best possible customer journey throughout all the channels. So they reached out to us because we are the experts in the systems, the platforms, and that's what Columbus is. That is what Jonas is saying, the CEO and CIO in Bang & Olufsen. And more importantly, they've done it before and they do know what good looks like. So according to Gartner, looking to the right side, you would see that serving a customer moving towards service-centric, Gartner, their critical capabilities review here stated that you need to have expertise on the product itself. You need to understand the industry. You need to make it stick to the customer so they can get the full value realization out of it. That's change management capability. You need to have good access to the product provider, that is Microsoft, and you do need to have modern service offerings. I think we can say yes to all of these. On the next slide, we will see the history of a typical customer of Columbus where we are transforming business. We're doing that at Phoenix Outdoor, which is an international manufacturer and retailer focused on products for nature and outdoor life. You might recognize Tjera, Hanwag, and more importantly, Fjällräven, which I at least used to carry on my back once upon a time. They are a company where we will call ICPB, around B level, 6 billion in revenue, Danish kroner, and have stores, 100 stores around in the world, and they are focusing on solving their current challenges, as you see here. They had a legacy platform where that was scattered old legacy platforms no longer supported because they've been consolidating for the years. The global supply chain has been increasingly turning more complex, and they actually stated that the latest geopolitical disruption had put a lot of pressure on their operational resilience. They've been working with sustainability for more than 30 years, and they do set a high standard for how they act in the global world. And new awareness and regulations supporting sustainability and the circular economy as such are on the rise, and they feel badly equipped. That was the challenge they gave us. And we have engaged in addressing that holistically and get the maximum value out of it. Point is, according to Pierre Aldin, we are revolutionizing how we create and perform in business. That's the impact of what you can do with running digital cores or ERP. On my last slide, we will double click on a specific, you could call it a use case for AI. Mad Engine utilize generative AI to dramatically improve their performance. They are a prominent player in the apparel manufacturing industry. They do print on demand. They're around 550 employees and do turnover around 500 million US. They are, as stated, American, but present on the global marketplace. You can see that in the middle on the left side. That is from Amazon Fashion. And there you can see what this company actually does. It creates artwork and it sells artwork printed. But typically they print these artworks within a given universe. That could be Marvel, that could be Disney, that could be, in this particular to the right side, you can see the Minecraft artwork. And they have artists doing all of that and then they print it. But when you use this artwork, you need to pay royalties. And to make sure that they did that well, they had a team of 6 people constantly sitting and walking through all the arts coming in so they could do a proper artwork royalty payment. Today, with a fairly limited investment, we have been able to automate that fully into a generative AI with a 95% recognition currently where it's being fully automated. And why was this important? Yeah, it could be, of course, taking out cost, but more importantly, now you can grow the business. Early on, that was an inhibitor. Now they can gear up and sell more. So that gives you the idea that ERP and digital core is the new black. That's my point. And with that being said, Søren, I will hand it back to you.
Super, thank you. And I think you can, if you have any questions, please start typing them in. Just finish off here by reminding you the goals we set ourselves long-term as part of our strategic process. So these are in the bottom left corner, the goals we've set ourselves for 2026, achieving a revenue growth of 10%. Which is actually kind of the level we came from. So this is more representative of a slightly more difficult market and maintaining that growth. But then we have a program to improve our EBITDA margin towards 15% that we're currently working towards. And I think some of the things Ole have said today about how the mechanics are of our larger business units explains kind of that we're growing into to that pair of shoes. And otherwise, we'll be commenting more on Q3 results and our expectations next week when we present that. So I think, Michael, now it will be over to if there are any questions or comments.
Yeah. The first question, what key drivers and risk are you exposed to concerning the long-term growth in Microsoft Dynamics services? So what are the key drivers and maybe some of the risk you're exposed to?
I mean, as what we're trying to say is that dealing with digital cores, that's always important. You need it going up and you need it going down. So point is, it's still there. So microeconomic climate, we are dependent on that. Furthermore, we are dependent on that being on good terms with Microsoft and making sure that Microsoft gets the value out of this and Ditto, and they do not become overly ambitious in conquering the world, so to speak. From a pricing perspective, life in cloud is not cheap, but encapsulates much more cost. It's much more safe. It's much more secure, and we do think that that's a brilliant business case. But that's still the main driver and the main risk that everybody needs to get that. Do you want to expand on this one, Søren?
No, I think it's very well captured. I mean, maybe just try to shorten it further. It's just like, I mean, we are in our Dynamics business line, we are dependent on that the core software package of Dynamics is very competitive against its global rivals. As Ole was talking to that on the Gartner slide before. And as being one of the inner circle partners, the benefit for us is we get to be very, very close to that development process and where they put their competitive emphasis. So that's number one. If that platform is good, then we're off to a good start. And then we need to be very good at what we do towards our customers. And when we are very good at that, we get to have that even closer collaboration with Microsoft, and that's what we sort of feed on. I think those are the number one dependencies.
And maybe it's a little bit relating this question. So if you look at it from an IT consulting company, are there big entry barriers for others to come in and take part of this area? Is the answer to this one that you are this trusted partner and are deeply involved in that? Or is that the biggest entry barrier? And are there entry barriers for, not someone setting up a 10-person consultancy company here, there, and trying to compete on being those consultancies? So a little bit about the competitive situation and maybe a little bit about the barriers you are protected by.
Yeah, we stand on two legs, so to speak: our technology understanding and our industry detail. And it's obvious that you can learn a product, or you can break up from us and manage your own business. But then you still to be able to do full cycle engagement with the customer, you still need to earn your designations to become a fully fledged Microsoft partner. So there is some element of entry barrier there, but the biggest part is earning your rights, becoming the trusted partner. That does not come for free. That's a large investment that sits between companies, between people, and that's built over time. And it's an area where you need to earn those rights. They are not given for free for starters.
Perfect. And then there's a little bit, does Microsoft give you any limitation, or can you be consultants also on competitive solution? You also have the M3 and so on. So how is this dynamics in a company like yours, who actually has two, I might not say competing, but two ERP areas?
It works well. It keeps us sharp. And ideally, you could say, I'm not going to speak for Microsoft and trying to think what they will say, but I think it adds value to our advisory, having the understanding of what is the best solution to specific needs. And if you only advise on one setup, on one thing, it might be that the advice is not deemed truly trustworthy. So I'm not stating we're agnostic, but at least we do have three very prominent platform: the BC, the F&O, and the M3. We have deep competence in all three of them, and that does make our advice quite profound.
Perfect. And then I don't know whether you have ever given that number or willing to give that out. What is the average contract value annually on your customer base within Dynamics? So a little bit about the contract sizes.
We have not reported on that previously. We might come to that at some stage, but we have not reported on that. I think we could say a little bit more, but given that we are so close to our Q3 results next week, I think we will refrain from commenting right now.
That's perfect.
But I can say that it's in our strategy. We've commented on in our strategy that we are pursuing this ideal customer profile that Ole said before, and it's very clearly stated that we are going for larger and larger customers, and larger customers tends to have bigger engagements, which gives you an indication of whether we think the contract size is going up or down. And then I think I'll stop at that.
Perfect. And then there's any possibilities in the dynamic areas, maybe new markets. Is this you might say copy model, strong presence in the Nordics, trusted partner? Can you copy that to other markets, either through M&A or try to do that? So any possibilities of using the stronghold you have in the Nordic region to maybe new markets or other areas?
The answer is of course you can, but nothing. I mean, there's no such things as free meals. We need to have the good consultants. Our model is staying close to our customers. That's the customer intimacy approach. But we do have a strong international setup where every piece of engagement is planned with global resources, and we do have our own setup offshore as well as nearshore, so we can reach out. And while we are, as you said, only in around 10 countries, we do have customers active in more than 60, because that's the reach of what we have. So the answer is yes, but again, we cannot let our customers down. We need to serve them well. And our model is we have a local spearhead, and that is we believe that creates a lot of value, and that's a prominent part of our strategy. So that would require some local presence. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect. Yeah. And then Søren, did you have anything to elaborate or?
No, I was just reflecting a little bit on sort of which parts are directly transferable, but what makes it a big decision for us to enter new geographies. Why don't we do it all the time, right? And what's transferable is all the industry knowledge that Ole alluded to before, you know, really understanding the taxonomy, the regulatory impacts on our customer. That's broadly transferable, at least in the EU. Not so much when we start looking at the US or perhaps further away, but in the EU, very transferable, a lot of it. Labor market dynamics and all of that, there's a correlation. Everything we talked about in terms of technology knowledge is transferable. Everything we talked about in terms of relationship with Microsoft is transferable. And also indeed the delivery methodology. It's not easy to deliver these big things, so you have to have a very stringent methodology. You can do that, but as Ole was saying, we believe in having a very, very strong anchoring, and that's basically what's also generates the demand in each market. So the commercial development, and we need to invest quite significantly in that as we set up new countries, and that's why we do it quite deliberately when we go into new markets, and we don't just try our luck in a great number of markets at the same time.
And there's one question I have had on my blog since I saw this event, or I knew this event was coming. And this is financial analysts are talking a little bit about that Copilot might not be as strong as, and I'm not talking an IT specialist, I'm talking my world, the financial analyst. We always need to have something to write about and talk about under Microsoft. That Copilot first version and the first things maybe are not that strong and maybe not generating the outcomes you want to come. So let's drop the financial analysts who are talking about this and talk the ones who actually are implementing and knowing about it. How is your feel about Copilot and this? What might be the first generation, or what we are talking about here?
You want to start?
I mean, that's why we repeated having the hype cycle. We are in the middle of the middle phase, the trough of disillusionment. Nevertheless, we are supporting Microsoft in being currently on AI road tour, making sure that they get the stories from real life where we are out there and doing our first learnings. I mean, we have been doing machine learning for quite some years. And I think we are becoming good at that, ensuring that we can do a demand forecasting and other great stuff based on the data we have been created for many, many years. But the co-pilots in itself will happen. We are beyond belief. We do actually think that, I mean, we know that it will happen. I cannot say that strong enough, but it will take time. It always does. That's the point. But I think it was a masterpiece combining ERP and AI into one. That's exactly what the marketplace needed, and that's why we are back to saying that ERP is the new black.
Any you want to elaborate, Søren? Or?
Yeah, if a slightly different interpretation of your question, sort of more, I think you maybe also have spoken more as a general user, and let me try to see if I can capture that one. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Ole, but the strategy of Microsoft towards deploying Copilot in their various distinct functional areas that they serve with both ERP systems, with CRM systems, with all other systems, is actually not one Copilot, but they're starting actually with several different Copilot that are highly specialized to support that function. So if your question is more towards sort of that direct, you ask ChatGPT on it, what's going on with this or something, it's a very different comparison to when we talk co-pilot in a productivity gain sense here for the platforms. But even on a more general level, so we are using the co-pilot now for our very general use cases. So I think the use case you referred to, and I think there's a lot that has happened. To my understanding, it's the same language LLM that it uses, but we find that the security in terms of IP is dealt with in a much more responsible way that we can use in our company. So yeah, that's sort of my take on it as a semi-layman, I would say, somewhere in between.
Yeah. Double clicking on Copilot, you would say that marketing-wise, it's the same word, but currently it's a set of features that go throughout all their product lines. But they do actually work together, and the point is that you can be in your Word and getting your dunning list from open invoices directly from finance. Without having to open any application or doing anything. So it's very concrete use cases, but this has to do with transformation and people getting used to. So it will take a while, but I do believe that the capability is there. We just need to practice, and that's who we are, practitioners, making sure that it comes through in the real world. So it will take a while, but it will happen.
And then there's a question here. Given the specialized required for Dynamics project, how do you retain and top talent, particularly for the Dynamics FO practice? So a little bit about, I think you already alluded to it when you were talking about the geographic market, that you need a good base of technology people who has business understanding and a technology understanding. And I guess that can't be that many people, or it must be a hard combination to find. So a little bit about how easy it is to find and how you try to retain those competencies on board.
Okay. Yeah, I can start that, and then Ole can follow up. I would say that the first 2 points that I mentioned are probably they're very relevant for Dynamics, but will also carry across the rest of the business. So if you think about the best consultants we have, what really drives them is actually working on the sort of the premier projects of industry. That's what drives them. So it's sort of a self-fueling, you know, the better projects you have, the best brands that we're working for, the more difficult the projects are, the more ambitious the projects are that we can sign up with our customers, the more likely we are to get to attract and retain the best talent, because that's what they want to work on. They don't want to work on small stuff. They want to work on big, hairy, complicated projects, which really stretches them and their abilities. That's the first one I would mention as a very important one. The second one for me is that for this to be very interesting for them, they will also need, on an individual contributor level, great interaction with Microsoft. That's what makes it interesting. If you can be part of stretching the solution to do something it hasn't done before, you need collaboration with the technical sides of Microsoft, and that is an interesting spectrum for them to be a part of, and highly motivating. So again, I would go back to some of the things Ole said before about being in a circle, having all the 6 specialty areas, having very close dialogue to the engineering side of Microsoft is super highly motivating for them. And then allow me a third one, Ole, and then I will hand over. I think, you know, just going to Columbus again is sort of the value side of things. You know, the best consultants are often most at home in a value-driven organization with rules that are mainly based around values, but leaves them some degree of mandate and freedom to navigate the complexity that they're in on each project, you know, because they usually know the most of anybody in Columbus when they work at where they want to be. So basically we can't tell them exactly how to do each thing, because they are the one that are supposed to tell others. So we that's kind of a values thing. Yeah.
And then we make sure that they do perform well and feel well. We, as an entire company, we measure the heartbeat ENPS, so to speak, on a monthly level to make sure that we are on top. And currently we're running the business at around 60 from an ENPS business, and that's a very, very decent number, and we are proud of that. But that's what it takes to be a good employer. Last but not least, that is one of the questions that often comes around. So why? I mean, what's your take on India? And on India, we are fishing in the largest talent pool in the world when it comes to certified Microsoft Dynamics people that are truly talented and truly well certified. That's why we are there. That is the number one reason, to make sure that we are not only limited by our own collaboration, but also have this international approach of a very large and well certified pool of good people.
Perfect. And I have a question regarding, I will just jump to that slide, because, you know, as a financial analyst, we love recurring revenue because we value it higher and it gives a more stability. It hasn't been that now and in the future. Is that the technology development, or what is the biggest roadblock from going to from your current model to a model where you might see a little bit more staying by the customers, evolve projects, more recurring revenue? What is the biggest roadblock right now for that not happening, and a roadblock that can be removed to make it happen?
We have deliberately said that our evolve phase is not only made up of recurring revenue, but whenever we act upon the customer's request in what we normally would call managed services, it is a managed service contract that sits with an underlying SLA. And we can transform further and further services now, having customers in the cloud, to become recurring, but that's not necessarily seen as a need. What is a need is to make sure that people land well in the cloud, and we are constantly there to elaborate that. You could say, look into the percentage growth. I am fully aware that the percentage is pretty much the same throughout 3 years, but the absolute number has been growing exactly in the same rate as the rest of the business. So we are definitely growing that business, and we are focusing on continuing that growth. That was not a specific answer to the trigger point that will make it happen, but it's about earning the rights and making sure that customer feels that we serve them well and better, and then slowly but surely more and more will be available for us to serve them with. That's the platform of Columbus, so to speak.
Yeah, I can try with a more simplified one again, and hopefully it's a little bit oversimplified, but broadly correct. I think what we are looking at here is that the classic time and material product delivery, project delivery, is most suited for the first lift from on-premise to cloud, and we still have quite a lot of that work we need to do. And it might also be the most suited when we take over from one of Microsoft's competitors in the world, the first time we bring them on board into the Dynamics universe. And then what happens from there on, and as we get a bigger and bigger customer portfolio, in terms of upgrading or integrating, is more suitable for the evolve business. So as we grow our business, I think it becomes more natural for the evolve business share percentage to grow.
Perfect. And then a final question, and then I again jump to this slide where we are seeing the complex industry problems. And as an analyst, I always want to dump a little bit down. So what are the main driver right now? Looking at this one, I would guess supply chain disruption. I understand that ERP systems are more like a backbone now, and that of course is driving the good momentum. But looking at it, a customer comes to you, and I think if I saw the customer cases, supply chain disruptions was also mentioned twice, and getting that right. Is that you might say what customers mainly see as a problem and therefore comes to you with? Yeah,
but also definitely, but also the automation pressures and the China plus one, building new factories, making sure that they either taking that to Vietnam or even back to whatever country you originated from. You need to have a different approach, because labor having the same. It does not have the same cost necessarily. So you need to do whatever you did in a different manner. I wouldn't call that supply chain disruptions, but that is pressure for automation. That is also a large driver for what we do.
So, and the reason why I ask is that if I look out in the world, everybody is talking about that this is only going to get worse. So that would be a good factor for everything. And then maybe a last question, from an IT point of view, I think everybody is talking about the return on investments when you do an IT system. Is this an area where it's more like it's going to a backbone need to have, or can you actually, when you talk to customers, show a very good return on investment? Meaning, if I make this investment, I save time, I get more effective here. Is it easy for you to showcase that? Because I guess that's a lot of part always when the higher up in levels the decision process goes, and we are talking much about C-level now taking some of the IT investments, and they understand Excel sheets that tell us you win here. So is it an easy area to show a return on investment when you're talking to clients, this one?
In reality, the point is it's an equation with many variables. It always is, because we do not run the customer business, they do. But what we do offer is the transparency platform, where you can get the insight you need to truly understand your business. And based on that, you can make the right decision criteria to do your business case on. So it's not only of just you have to and you have technology debt, but it's also about factoring in the things you can measure to agree upon what 2 or 3 or 4 KPIs do you need to measure to make sure that you are actually achieved your goal a few years down the line.
So we are going a little bit old school again. Nice to hear from an old accounting guy that this is actually quite important for business decisions in the future. That was the last question. Thank you to you, Ole and Søren, for taking us through this business line. A deep dive into one of your areas. What are the drivers for that? So we will look forward to hear about you when you report your results, but here at least as an understanding for investors to understand what is driving one of your important business areas. So thank you to you both.
Thank you.